Lester, do you have blue light glasses as well, or are those actual glasses?
Those are blue light glasses. I haven't messed up my eyes quite badly enough yet to need regular glasses. I was blessed with some really good eyes. Lucille, are you there? You don't look like a Lucille. That's a cool name if you are. You're muted. Alexandria is here. Hi, Alex.
Hi, I'm here.
Yay. Oh, Lucille, there you go.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
you were
right here.
sitting. What are you doing, girl?
How are you?
Did you show up to support Fifth Avenue
Yes,
Church?
I am.
Well, grateful to have you and grateful to support a good mission. What do y'all do at your church to add value to your community?
Well, we have a lot of different programs going on for the community.
Yeah, that's what I was asking about. What are some of those
Yeah.
things? I know
Yeah, we have
churches.
a food bank that we do every Tuesday.
Mhm.
We have a lot of people's come by, since the pandemic to help with food and stuff.
Have you had any of your faith in humanity restored from watching people come and help people, or is it
Oh
hurt your
yeah,
faith?
yeah. We've we encourage them to come to worship service and everything too. And some of them do. We do Bible studies, and matter of fact, I was on a Bible study just now. We have have a Bible class on Thursday night.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
told them, I said, I gotta go. So I had to come over.
Well, what were y'all learning? We got another minute before this starts, and
Oh
you
no,
know,
they'll be there a while. We've been on since 7, so we all right.
well,
Yeah.
I'm asking you because what did you learn at your Bible study? What did
Well, we
y'all?
were talking about we're trying to get ourselves more equipped with doing individual Bible studies with people. So this is what this class is all about, to build our confidence up. You know, how we talk to people, the proper way to do it, and things that you don't do and don't say. A lot of times I can see somebody and I have an opportunity to talk to them, but I won't do it because I'm scared may say something I shouldn't. So that's what they're trying to do, is encourage us going through this procedure of how we do a personal Bible study. So pretty much that's what it is on Thursday nights.
So it sounds like it's being willing to make mistakes and having the courage to move forward if you know that what you're sharing with somebody is something.
Right. And the one thing we don't want to do is make a person feel like we are better than them, because nobody's better than anybody.
Amen.
God is he's the high supreme on us. So we just have to make sure, because sometimes we're not thinking we can say something that we shouldn't say.
Yeah, can I tell you the truth about something?
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
man, this Ovanova thing is just a small team. It's just a few people,
Hmm.
and we really love being able to give to organizations that are
Hmm.
doing good things in the world.
Hmm.
But man, sometimes it's hard just to have people listen for a couple of minutes, even if you're telling them the truth. Have you learned anything about how you could talk to people in a way where they might be able to hear you if
Hmm.
you're telling them the truth about something that sounds too good to be true, but turns out to be true?
Right. Well,
Uh,
the thing it is, I can sit down and I can talk to someone. I can do a Bible study with someone. But if they're not willing to accept what we're teaching them, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
But God expects us to share the gospel with everybody. And so that's the purpose of the class, is for us to build our confidence up that, we do what God expects of us.
Well, welcome to Thursday night Bible study, everybody.
All right, then.
I'm glad Lucille and I were just talking, having a good conversation about what she's learning at church before everybody jumped on. But my name's Lester. I'm your host. I see a couple of faces I know, and we're not spreading the gospel, but you only have to read the first 4 or 5 verses of the Bible to know that the light is good. And the light is what makes solar energy possible from the sun. So we are going to spread some good news about the light. And the first thing that we do, our whole mission here, we're just a few people doing our best to add as much value as possible to as many lives as possible. And we believe that one way we can do that is by supporting good organizations. And by good, I mean, whatever y'all believe is good, that you would care for us to support instead of paying salespeople or Facebook ads to reach people to talk to them about solar. But what makes this program possible is that people, after they learn about solar, use our service to go solar. We've helped people now in 15 states transition to solar, and it's really simple and it's really easy. And I promise to be really nice, which is why we always start out doing what we said we would do, which is making this the easiest fundraiser you can imagine. And all you have to do to raise the $50 for the organization that you came to support is introduce yourself in this weird way. It's not that weird, actually. It's kind of the wrong word to use, but it is right here, which is your name, where you are in the world, which organization you came to support, and then this question, like, if you could pay the exact same price each month for solar as you currently pay the electricity company, what kind of good things have you heard about solar that might make you think it's worth doing? And because Luke is our teammate here, well, I'll start. My name's Lester. I'm in Knoxville, and I came to support the organizations y'all came to support. Thank you for showing up so we could do this. We love supporting good causes. And I can't think of any reason why people wouldn't go solar if they could pay the same amount or less. But we're having a real hard time communicating to people that's possible. So any feedback you could give us about how to do better at that would be appreciated. But we're glad to have you here. And Luke, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Luke Wilt. I'm currently in Indianapolis. And so, as Lester was saying, part of the Ovanova team. So just here to support the organizations that y'all are here to support. And good things about solar. I mean, there's a ton of them. And if you stick around, you can hear about them.
Who would you like to hear from next, Luke?
Let's go with Lucille.
My name is Lucille Jurger. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm supporting the Fifth Avenue Church of Christ. And I really don't know much about solar, so I'm here to learn.
Well, let me ask this. Have you heard anything good about it at all, or anything bad about it, or make you curious about it?
Well, I really haven't took the time to really have anybody to sit down and tell me about it. You know, I see all this stuff up on people's houses, but you know, it's like,
how did it get there? What does it do? Is it going to make my roof leak?
Yeah. Well, see, I need a new roof, so I don't need the solar up there yet.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I've got some good stuff to share with you tonight. If that's the case, you going to stick around and let me be nice to you and teach you about it?
Yes, I will.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, Lucille. Who do you want to hear from next?
Well, I can only see you, so
I'll pick Mike Scalca then, because
Okay.
I've known him for a real long time.
Hey guys, I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear me too well because I'm trying to communicate over my laptop. I usually use a different device, but yeah, Mike Scalca. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I got my little buddy here with me. He's just gonna check and make sure that everything checks out with this organization. Make sure that he's comfortable with it before we decide to proceed with anything. Right, Nico? So anyways, I am interested in learning more about solar though, because I do have a couple of buddies that have done it and have been happy with it. So I'm just interested in learning more about it tonight.
Cool. So if it costs the same as what you're doing now, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't want to do it?
No, if there's a way to do it for the same price, then yeah, absolutely. It makes sense to me.
Cool. Well, then stick around. You're going to like what I have to say. And then we have Alexandria is here, I believe. Can you hear us, Alexandria? I saw that you didn't have a microphone. Or
I can. I fixed that.
Cool. Hi. Thank you for dialing in.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that you already use solar energy, but you can introduce yourself and tell us if that's true or what you think about why it would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, Alexandria Lassiter. I'm in Mebane, North Carolina, just outside of the Triangle. And my husband and I went ahead and got solar. And then we met you guys from Ovanova, and we really wish that we had gone with you instead. But I'm here to learn more about how Ovanova approaches solar. I think everyone in the world should have it, and it's so easy, no money down, and our power bill is $15 a month. And we got a new roof when we did the solar. So it's totally possible.
Yeah. And, you know, guys, the one favor I have to ask is that we just pay attention, because if 5 people had the internet, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's just 5 people sending text messages to each other who are probably really big nerds. But when everybody has the internet, things change. We can have conversations like this from miles away with just a little bit of technology and energy. So going solar doesn't seem like that big of a deal for one person. But let me ask you this: do y'all, what do you think our country spends each day on just electricity?
Billions.
It's $1 billion a day. And on oil, it's 2.5 billion more. So if all of our electricity came from the sun, because the sun doesn't send a bill, and we had an extra $3.5 billion a day, can you imagine what a big difference that would make if all of our cars worked and our houses worked just because the sun came up in the morning, and then we had $3.5 billion more a day to do whatever we needed to do as a country. So that's why we like solar so much. It's everybody asks, what's the catch about solar? And the catch is you have to take a little personal responsibility. It takes about 30 minutes. It's really simple. It's really easy, but there's a tiny bit of work to do it. Because the first thing to share with y'all is that, did y'all already get your design today? Did everybody get that? It came in your email. Mike, did you see yours? And Lucille, did you see yours?
Yep, got it.
Cool. Like, we sent that in your email, so be sure to check your email if you didn't get it. Whoa, somebody just hopped in late somehow. That was like a miracle. Hi, person. What's your name? I don't even know how you got in, but I'm glad you're here.
Oh, well, I'm glad I made it as well. I just got out of work. So, Annika Ramos.
Annabelle?
Annika.
Annika, wow, I didn't even have you showing up tonight. Were you signed up for a different time?
I was registered for the 6 p.m., but I couldn't make it. I was stuck at work.
Well, are you guys happy to have another human come join us, or is that just way out of control? So Alexandra, would you like to catch her up, Annika up on what we've talked about so far, or is that too crazy?
Me?
Yeah.
No, sure. So far, Lester is our host this evening. Luke Wilt is also part of the Ovanova team. And we are talking about solar and how easy it is to jump on the bandwagon and how great it is. We just learned that there's about $3.3 billion spent per day on energy, and it would be wicked cool if we could all just wake up and our houses worked and our cars worked because the sun came up. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, we give first like the sun, and for everybody who just introduced themselves, you raised $50 for the organization you came to support. You don't have to pretend to be interested. We've already done intros, and the first thing I want to talk to y'all about, now that you're willing to give me your attention, is just getting clear on our current situation with electricity. Like, and if you're not in a place where it's loud, it would be way cooler if you could unmute so we could make this a conversation. It's no problem. If you get loud, we can mute you. But how long do you intend to use electricity? Forever. And what's your return on investment on your current electricity bill?
Well, I have solar, so I'm cheating. It's awesome.
You actually do have a return on your investment because it's an investment, not just a bill. It's the difference between a mortgage and a rent. So have you ever thought about the fact that no matter how many times you pay your electricity bill, it's never going to go away? So other than whatever you do with the electricity, it's a negative 100% ROI, which is kind of crazy. And Scalca, when will your bill be paid off? Like how many times do you have to pay it off?
Monthly. It never is paid off.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, isn't it? That there's this thing that's so important. When we don't have electricity, what's that like for y'all? Like what it doesn't happen that often, but what's your experience been like when it does happen?
Leave the house or hunker down.
Yeah, what else can you think about other than like when are the lights going to come back on? And so that's probably the last point, is that we're paying something that we can never pay off for something that's so important because it's made far away from where we live. Which of y'all know where the closest power plant is to where you live?
It's very close.
Y'all know. Annika, do you know where your closest power plant is? And I forgot to ask you, Annika, earlier. You didn't get to do the intro because I kind of got distracted. But where do you live? Who'd you come to support? And if so, yeah.
I live in the Kenzo area, and I'm supporting Sobe.
Fantastic. We've had a great time with Sobe so far. Thank you for sharing. And if solar costs the same thing as your current utility bill, can you think of any reason why you would want to use solar?
Well, I mean, definitely to cut down on electricity costs, and I guess it's probably good for the environment.
Well, thank you. Those are all good reasons. And reason people do it every day. And it's nice to make something that's so important at home.
Definitely.
Right where you live. Have you thought about if you got an electric vehicle? Mike, you're in North Carolina. Did y'all have any gas shortages or people freaking out from that pipeline deal that just happened?
Yeah, it's nuts. People are lined up down the street for half a mile, and, waiting 2.5 hours just to get gas. It's crazy. I'm thankful I work from home.
What was that like seeing that mess?
Pretty maddening. I mean, I was like, geez, I'm glad I'm not one of them. Like, get me out of here and get me back home.
Well, have y'all ever thought about that if you made your electricity at home and you had an electric car, that your gas station would basically be on the top of your roof?
That's true.
Like your car would run on sunshine. So where you produce your energy is important, but does it make sense that maybe if there's an alternative, like this isn't about buying anything, y'all. Like this, you're going to buy electricity one way or the other. This is just about a different way to make it and to share some truth with you so you can make a real choice. So are we clear on our current situation that we all like electricity and think it's awesome, so awesome that we're willing to pay a never-ending bill for the rest of our lives to use it currently? And so I want to talk to you guys about 3 basic solar concepts, but before I do, I want to get very clear about your personal situations. So you know this is relevant. I'm going to start with my friend Mike. Mike, you told us you spent about $250 a month on electricity.
Right.
If you went solar,
257 is what I added up. I did all the math last night.
Yep. And so we can get that exactly straight the next time when we book our follow-up meeting. But did you know that if you went solar, you would get a tax credit in your case for almost $13,000?
Yeah.
And after you apply your tax credit with a 0 down loan, 21 years, you would have a $225 a month solar bill. And because you can make 100% of your electricity on site, you don't have an electricity bill anymore other than the price to stay connected. So what I'm telling you is not only can you go solar for the same price, but you can save $25 a month, even if you didn't pay a dime to do it. I don't know who, Lucille,
Yes.
in your case, you were spending $183 a month. You would get an $8,000 tax credit and you would save $40 a month. It's less expensive to use solar than not. And I'll go over all these numbers in detail with all y'all. That's what the personal follow-up call is for, is to help you understand this. But I don't want to pull up. Luke, are you still on here? Do you know the other folks on here's numbers? Because I don't have my fundraising sheet pulled up. If you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, so Nitra, for 100% of the energy that you're already using, it would be $1.50 less, $1.50 less per month.
So what I just said is you could go solar. So now let's talk about why you might not want to. because if I didn't know how solar made electricity at night, I don't care how much money I'm saving. I want to watch Netflix. I want to use my computer. So let's talk about some basic solar concepts, and then I'm going to just be quiet as soon as I can to give you a chance to ask as many questions as you want to, from how did you come up with those savings numbers, or how do I know it works, or whatever's burning. So one thing I'd like to ask before I even get into the basic solar concepts, is there anything about solar or about anything I've said that makes y'all want to ask a follow-up question to it, like triggered anything in your mind that's been shared already before I get into this?
I want to understand the importance of your home's orientation to the sun.
Cool. Well, let's start with number 3 then, because what that's about, Mike, is how many solar panels do you need? And one of the big factors is exactly like you said, the orientation towards the sun. So there's 2 things that matter: where you live in the United States or the world, because sun shines everywhere sometimes, but where you live in the world matters. Like one solar panel in San Diego will make the same amount of energy as 1.5 in Buffalo. It's not that folks in Buffalo can't use solar, they just have to buy a few more panels to do it. But what makes an even bigger difference than where you live is what Mike just said, the orientation. So in the design we'll send you tomorrow, the one we sent you today, and then these numbers, the spreadsheet, Mike, I'm going to send this to you tonight or tomorrow, depending on what Luke feels like doing. It's called open book pricing. It shows you every single number and where they came from, including the number of panels we have designed, but you do not have to use that design. And if your guesstimate for your energy bill was off, then we need to adjust it, because you might need another panel or 2. So that's what we talk about in our follow-up call. But
and Lester, I just realized I misread. Anika's monthly savings would be $58, not $1.50.
Anika, did you catch that?
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying that I misread, and your savings would be $58, not $1.50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, sounds good. That's what everybody. So right here, one panel facing south will make almost 1.5 facing north. So you don't have to use any particular roofing. That's up to you. But just know that it'll the number of panels that you need to make. And this is only true in the northern hemisphere. But does that answer your question, Mike? Too many words, or what can I do to make that clear?
It's starting to come together. But I think, again, I'm curious about the direction that my home is facing and how effective solar panels are going to be. Because in my case, my particular home is facing the panels that we would, or the roof that we would put it on would be east, southeast.
That's perfect.
So I wonder how effective they would be.
Well, they're effective enough to produce 101% of the electricity that you need to make if you put them where it is in your design. But if you want to take some off, because there's only like one roof you want to use, then we can figure out how much of your electricity that would make, and that's no problem either. So the design is just how we would create it if you want to make 101%. But Mike, book a time to get back in touch with us. Luke, if you want to drop that link in there, and we'll go over it one-on-one and be just as nice as we are right now. So if you could drop that in there, Mike, you can go ahead and sign up for follow-up time. We can answer your question specifically. But in general, south and southeast is a very good orientation for solar. One solar, this is a north, south, east, and west sign. So one panel that's facing south will make as much electricity as almost 1.5 facing north. Does that graphic make sense? Cool. Good question. So that's what determines how many panels you need, is what direction they face and how much electricity you need to make. Because every panel makes a certain amount of electricity. So that's the one we already talked about. These other 3 things right here. So that's why we do an individual follow-up call. There was somebody that guessed, because when you register for a fundraiser, it's like, okay, I'm going to write this number in. It's kind of a guess at my electric bill, and that's cool. If somebody was off by $50 on their gas last week and it turned out to make a $9,000 difference in the price. But if the number that you gave us when you registered is right, those savings that we shared with you are right. So, but I wouldn't want it if I didn't know how it worked at night. So does anybody know how that works? Like, any guesses about how it works at nighttime? How you have electricity if the sun's not up?
It depends on your system.
What do you mean by that, Alexandria? Feel free to share.
So with solar, as I understand it, you have two options. You can have the panels without a battery, or you can have the panels with a battery.
Okay.
It also depends on what kind of power company you have and what the agreement is about what happens when the power produced by your solar panels goes back to the main grid. And so, you know, it might be very different in St. Petersburg, Florida, and that's why you guys are the experts on this and not me. But as I understand it, when you produce power from the sun during the day, it goes and like we have Duke Power, and Duke Power says, oh, you're not using all of this power, and maybe you're even generating a surplus of power, and that's coming back to us. And then if you have a battery pack, there's energy stored in the battery pack, which is great if like the power goes out, or, you know, if you have a hurricane in Florida, you're way better off than your neighbors. But you can also, there's not so much generated after the sun starts to go down, but there's still some electricity there. So, you know, my whole power bill to use minimal electricity at night is $15 a month. I mean, we do everything else that we can during the day. So you wash your dishes, you do your laundry. We're very conscientious about it and our usage. But that has been my personal experience and my understanding of how it works. I'm sure there's more to say.
Thank you. That was very good. So, Mike, how would you summarize what Alexandra said? What happens when you're making more electricity than your house needs?
It sounds like it goes back to the power company when that happens, unless you've got a battery backup. So yep. I guess I'm curious if the power company, I mean, you and I share the same power company, Alexandria, because I'm in Raleigh. I got Duke Power. So they don't give any of that energy back to you at night. Like, let's say you're running your AC all night because you like to keep it cool at 68 degrees at night. Do you have to be more conscientious about that at night and try not to use that energy, knowing that it's going to cost you?
I would ask Lester to answer that because I know there's a nuance between Piedmont and Duke Power, and I'm not 100% certain about how that works. But so far, so good. I haven't had a crazy bill.
So you almost have an exact opposite understanding of how it actually works, Mike, because she still has a little bit of a leftover bill. Duke gives you a 1-to-1 credit that you have a year to use. So you could make electricity. This is like, imagine the orange line is how much electricity you're making from sunlight. Does it make sense that you would why would you make more from April to August than you would in December and January?
Longer days.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so also it's not very hot yet. You don't have your air pumping in April and May. So during these months, you're making more than you need. And do y'all remember rollover minutes on cell phones?
Yep.
This is like rollover electricity minutes. So when you make more than you need here, you trade in the credits that you receive to make up for the bill there. So it works the same way with FPL, and everybody on here using the design we created, which you don't have to use, can make 100% of their electricity levelized over the course of the year. So it's kind of cool. Duke is really cool about it, and they don't mind doing it because otherwise they have to make it 100 miles away and lose half of it before they can sell it to somebody. They buy it from you, sell it to your neighbor. You're doing them a solid, making the grid stronger. So Mikey, this is how it looks on a bill in Lucille. So imagine during nighttime, like Alexandria was saying, sorry for calling you Alexandra. This family bought $93 worth of electricity at night or on cloudy days because you stay connected to your power company. It doesn't flicker. Your lights don't flicker. They work just the same. And then during the daytime, he made everything his home needed, plus an extra $107 that he sold back. So at the end of the month, the utility company actually owed him $15. And that's what's rolled over. So that's that $15 bill. It's $24 bill. Then he owed $1.43 during that ice storm. And then, whoa. And then he owed $37, but then he got a $53 credit. And then here comes those good spring months, and he got an $80 credit. And he didn't get his solar up until the end of last summer. So now next year, he'll have these credits to trade in here. I might have made that too complicated, but isn't that cool? I mean, Duke and FBL work the same way. You make more than you need during the day. You share it with your neighbors. Nothing wrong with sharing with your neighbors. And then you get to use it at night. So what kind of questions do y'all have about that? Because I just hit you with a lot of information really fast, and it's a foreign concept. But all I'm trying to say is your electricity is just as reliable, and you trade credits that you made during the day for the electricity you need.
So when you make extra money, or I'm sorry, when you make extra energy, and it's given back to the energy company, do they just hold a credit for you for a year? So it's not like they're like paying you a check each month, you make extra or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Got it.
And Duke, unfortunately, if you make more than you need for the entire year, they won't pay you anything for it. FPL will actually write you a check for the wholesale amount. So it's not much. It's not worth, it wouldn't be a good investment just to put up a lot of solar to try to make money. You know, the guys that put those giant solar fields have us all beat for that. But that's exactly how it works. So thank you for explaining it, Mike. Are you clear on that now, how you would have electricity at night?
Yep.
And the only reason you would want a battery where y'all live is because you either really care about complete carbon-free energy and you want to store clean energy and use it, or because you care about energy security and you like the idea of a generator. So a battery is like a generator. If you don't have a battery and a hurricane comes, remember how we said you share it with your neighbors? So Mikey or Alexandria, if this line is down, what do you hope Duke or FPL is out there doing after a storm?
Fixing it.
And if you're putting electricity back into the lines while it's being fixed, what kind of problem could that present?
I hadn't thought about that. Could that fry our
Cause a
system?
surge?
No.
Yeah, you could shock somebody's mom or dad, and that wouldn't be cool. So your solar panels automatically shut down if you don't have a battery to make sure they're not putting electricity back on the lines. But if you do have a battery, whenever that signal comes, the battery says, it's okay. We won't put anything on the lines. I'll catch anything that we need to catch. It'll be okay. And then your system continues to work. So the sun comes up at day and you still have access. So that's really just up to you. Instead of saving money, maybe you'll pay like $20 a month more or something. But some people like that feature. It's up to you, like 100% up to you. But you do not need batteries in order to utilize solar energy. But any questions about that, about how the batteries work? Or... Thank y'all for paying such good attention. And being honest, like I hadn't thought about that. So then the last thing, I guess, really is like, have y'all ever heard that solar's expensive?
Yep.
Like, have you also heard by chance, Lucille, that it saves money?
That's what they say.
So how could that be possible? How
I
could
have
something?
no idea.
You own your home?
Yes.
How was your mortgage expensive?
Yes. No, well, not really.
What about compared to rent, though?
Oh, it's good compared to what rent is now.
Well, why is that?
Because here in Florida, especially in Pinellas County, the rent is so high, it's cheaper for you to try and buy a home.
Yeah, and you know, it's got to be, mortgages have to be better than rent, or else people wouldn't rent their houses.
Yeah.
But
Actually, we have a lot of people moving out of Pinellas County, moving over into Manatee County and places like that because they can get cheaper mortgages over there and cheaper rent.
yes, ma'am. So can you think of anything that's better about owning than renting? Like, what are some other things that are good about owning a home?
And appreciating value.
Appreciate some value. Does your electricity bill make your home appreciate in value?
Nope.
Other than not being condemned if you didn't have it? You know, did y'all know that solar panels make your home more valuable?
Yes.
Solar panels make your home more valuable. There's a lot of studies that show it. You can pick whichever one you want, but going solar increases the value of your home.
Really?
By a lot.
Why do y'all think that would be the case?
I have no idea.
If you had a,
Don't want to pay bills either.
what's that, Mikey?
I said other people don't want to pay electricity bills either. You're taking you're taking care of the work for them that they otherwise would probably want to do on the house at some point in time to put in solar.
Yeah, so basically people like solar, they just don't want to go through this imaginary hard process to do it. And Lucille, if you had a refrigerator that can make its own, food, do you think it'd be more valuable than one that couldn't?
Oh no, I'd probably be scared to eat it.
It'd be magic. Well, I probably wouldn't be too, to tell you the truth. But does it make sense if a house can make its own electricity and it's not that scary, that the house would be more valuable? You crack yourself up, and me too. Thank you for being funny. I heard a joke today. Did y'all hear about the law that Hawaii passed where you can't laugh above a certain volume?
I didn't hear that one.
Like a ha, you can't laugh above a certain. Yeah. So now you have to use aloha.
Mhm.
No, that's terrible. Let's hear
This is a joke of me.
so bad.
So it's a bad dad joke I heard today.
Yeah.
So
Really
yeah.
is.
So anyway, the reason solar can be expensive and save you time is because here's a math lesson that we get to do together. If you look up top, I'm going to show you where this number comes from. So Mikey, $250 a month. Do you have your iPhone with you, or you had to take a call? Lucille, do you have a calculator with you, or Alexandria, or anybody?
I've got one. Go.
Okay, so $250 a month for 12 months. How much is that?
3,000.
And do you know how long a warranty on a solar panel is?
I want to say 15 years. Is that a thing?
It might have been a few years ago when you got them, but it's 25 years.
What?
So Mike can make all of his electricity himself, or he can buy it from the utility company. So if the price of electricity never goes up for 25 years, how much will he spend? That number we just got times 25.
3,000 times 25.
Yep. Or 250, 3,000 times 250. My bad. I'm sorry. Or
750,000.
I just screwed up the math and made it really complicated. It's
What?
It's 75,000.
Times what?
Mike, do you understand where that number comes from? Yeah. So it's 250 a month for 25 years. This isn't on your credit report though, is it? Where it shows you have a debt for $75,000? I mean, because you couldn't pay it off if you wanted to.
75K.
$75,000 you're going to spend on electricity. Like that'll be enough to pay for a half a week of college by the time your kids get there, you know. And so you have 36,000 is what it would cost to go solar to make the exact same amount of electricity. So that's why something can be expensive, because $36,000 is a lot of money, but it's a lot less than 75. And again, you don't have to put a single dime of your money down. And after you apply your tax credit, you'd be saving $25 a month. And you don't have to make more money to buy solar. You just use the money you're saving from your utility bill to do it. And that's why we started this thing. And we've worked so hard trying to help people see that we know it sounds too good to be true, but so does showing up and raising $50 just for introducing yourself for something you care about. And we decided to give first because that's what the sun does. And we really just want to serve people and understand now at this point, this is the Q&A part, and I can stay for as long or as short as you want me to. And I went way over, but I have a really hard time understanding why, if what I said is true, why everybody wouldn't want to use solar energy. So if you could either tell me what something that you don't understand how it's true that you might have heard me say, or help me understand what I could do to help you learn what you need to learn about any questions you have so that we could get back together and keep talking about your situation. So what kind of questions do y'all have? Those are the biggest concepts we could talk about.
So is this something that you need to get insured by your home insurance company in case there's disaster or whatever? I guess it would make sense to do that, but otherwise the warranty covers it for how many years? You said 25 years?
20, yeah. And can I tell you something cool about the warranty?
Yeah.
It's not just like these things will be barely hanging on in 25 years. For even standard equipment, in 25 years, they're guaranteed to be working 80% as well as the day they were when they went on your house. Like, I hope I'm working 80% as well in 25 years as I am today. You know, I'll be pretty happy about that. But I have a lot more moving pieces than a solar panel, which is why solar panels last so long. So the answer is 25 years. And answer your question about the insurance, that's part of the process that we've done to make this really easy for you and to take all the fear out. One of the things that we get you to share with us is a copy of your insurance to make sure that you have enough coverage already. In most cases, people already do have enough coverage. Sometimes they don't. And in places like Florida Power and Light, there's liability coverage that you may have to increase, but it's not nearly as much as what you save in most cases. But you don't have to figure that out. Like, we'll figure that out for you. All you have to do is share a picture when we get to that part after we get your numbers right. Does that answer your question, Mikey?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, Mike, assuming that number was correct, I just was, this whole meeting, I've been going back and looking through the design, seeing if there's any way I could make them better. And I was actually able to use less panels and produce the same amount of electricity for you. So instead of $20 a month, what it was, your monthly savings be 33.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. It's just, it might look kind of funky, and I'd have to make sure that like most likely in my neighborhood, they're going to say it can't be visible from the road. It would violate the HOA policies of the neighborhood. So, I mean, as long as I could put it all in the back, I'd probably be okay. But yeah, my main concern going into this was just, that I probably had the wrong orientation and that I was just not a candidate. But it's good to know that you guys take that into consideration.
Absolutely. So now
I wish I had your orientation, man. That sounds like perfect. I wish my house had the same southeast situation.
Well, it's mainly east. So I just, that's obviously, it's good in the morning, but then once we get into late afternoon, there was one roof that I saw on the design you guys created that is going to be off limits in the afternoon. Like, it's going to be completely shaded after probably 4 o'clock every afternoon. So that was a concern of mine too. But of course we can talk more about that in our next call.
So Mike, if you know me to know that this is true, because we've been friends for a long time, and Alexandria, you've met John, you know what we're working on with Regen Villages and our project management part of the electric tribe. What, from how we shared this to what hasn't been addressed, do you think we could do to make sure people hear this message better? Like, how could we, like, I just can't think of why anybody wouldn't want to go solar if they believed what I said. And so I either want to know why people don't, or what y'all need to know to feel good about, so that we can help everybody create this world that's as cool as the internet, just because the sun comes up and everything works.
I would love to hear you talk more at the beginning about how much this helps the planet, because I think some people don't know what a big difference it does make long term. And people want to know how they can change the planet and make it better and not pollute as much. But a lot of times people don't know how to do that. And for me, the solar is a no-brainer because it just took my Duke power bill and discounted it way, way, way down, basically made it disappear. And the only thing I have is a solar payment instead. So it's like when you pay your mortgage versus paying rent, you would much rather be paying your mortgage because eventually you will own that house. And when you're paying rent, you're just paying a whole bunch of money to the man. Well, Duke Power is the man. So if you own your ability to create electricity, you're that much better off.
That's
Yeah.
great feedback. What else can y'all think? What else can y'all think of, or what else do you want to know? You've got me here. And by the way, this is what it takes to make your electricity now. Since Alexandria gave me permission, this is used to be a mountain. Now it's coal mine. This is a giant truck that you and I cannot afford, but we can pay a monthly bill to help support. Because when you're paying for electricity, you're paying somebody to send this coal down a train, or send natural gas down a giant pipeline. And didn't we just see this week what can happen with that? I mean, people go crazy quickly if things fall apart. The sun's going to come up every day. It would just be so cool if we could all use it. Like, it's dependable. Then you got to set something on fire. That's what nuclear is too. It's just heat. Nuclear power is not this real cool energy form. It's just a cool way to make heat so that you can heat water till it boils. And what happens? What do you get whenever water boils?
Steam.
And with that steam, you can blow this thing called a turbine, and that spins magnets through copper. And that's where our electricity comes from today. Sometimes a river is used to turn that wheel. Sometimes the wind is used to turn that wheel. But most of the time, we're setting pieces of our planet on fire. And until we do something about it, this is going to happen every day. And regardless of what you feel politically, it's not a political statement to say it doesn't make sense to carry all this crap around when we have an iPhone. And it doesn't make sense to keep using all of this craziness to make our electricity and paying rent to do it whenever you can own it and do it yourself. It's a big upgrade for humans that we need to make together, which was the concept behind working with community organizations. Because when you do things together as a church or a school, you should be able to accomplish more together. But so far, most people seem to think this is some weird sales pitch instead of an opportunity to let some people help you. So I'm asking for feedback. Thank you, Alexandria. What else can you think of that we could do that would have people be really excited to get to learn how they could go solar instead of like leave wondering what we were trying to get out of them the whole time?
All right, I don't have anything to contribute, Lester, on what would make other people excited. I'm just, still curious about things, like who would be installing it, and
Okay.
what their credentials look like, and the quality of the installation. If anything goes wrong, if I develop a leak in my roof, stuff like that.
Those are really great.
Those are my concerns.
Those are great questions. Thank you. That's what I was hoping we would get to. So you get a choice of who your contractor is. Like, who do you want on your roof, a roofer or a solar installer?
Solar installer. Well, probably
Probably
both, really.
Right. You want somebody who's going to take care of your roof. And who do you want to hook up the wires, a solar installer or an electrician?
Electrician.
So we hire licensed, certified, bonded, insured, all the way electricians and roofers who know how to install solar. And you get to choose it if you want to. You can do it yourself if you want to. You can do it as a family project if you want to, or you can use the one that we choose, knowing that if we chose a bad one, nobody would trust us to keep working with their churches and schools. But we had to start a company to do this ourselves. So it'll be somebody that we choose, and you'll meet them. And if there's something you have against them, we don't have to use them. The way the panels are installed, let me just show you this video. I think this will ease your pain about leaks and stuff. This is the commercial.
Prepping the roof for solar panels. Here, the team of 3 installers are placing racks on the roof that will hold the 24 solar panels. Step 2, connecting the panels to the roof.
So let's back up a second. How do you know how we determine how many of these things that we need? Like how many of those things on your roof to hold the solar panels? It's based on where you live. Like in Florida, you want your solar panels bolted down more, because what do y'all have down there sometimes, Lucille?
Tornadoes and hurricanes.
So they've got to be attached more often than they do in Raleigh. It's just as an example.
Pre-screened installers and chose a 6.7 kilowatt solar system. Step 1, prepping the roof for solar panels. Here, the team of
those things. So those things slide underneath your shingles, and then they have a raised spot in it. And so the water not only doesn't ever fall directly on it because it's protected by a solar panel, but it's raised so it runs around it. And if a leak does show up, that's covered. And you find out the first time it rains. It's not something that's going to sneak up on you. But the only way to do it is with shoddy workmanship, and we don't work with people who don't do good work. It has to be engineered to county specifications before you can even get a permit to do it. But those are under the shingles or under the tile, and they actually protect.
3 installers are placing racks on the roof that will hold the 24 solar panels. Step 2, connecting the panels to the roof. The panels are mounted on the racking equipment and will soon begin to generate solar electricity. They are connected to a string inverter that converts solar energy into usable electricity. Solar panels are lightweight and very durable. They require no maintenance and they last more than 30 years. The Foremans purchased their system and will break even in just 5 years. By going solar, they will save $2,250 on electric bills annually. They also avoid nearly 7 tons of carbon, which is equal to planting 127 trees every year. And it took less than a day to install. Find out your solar.
Yeah, that's from a little outfit called Energy Sage, that video. It's another good place to get quotes if you like solar but don't like us. So do you hear that it took a day to install? Isn't that cool? Like 1 to 3 days. It's not like putting a new kitchen or building a pool house. It's not a half a year project. It's quick. That's what I said. It's quick and easy. The hardest part is the next 30 minutes, not tonight, but at your convenience, to figure out where you would want to put your panels based on your HOA situation. What kind of panels would you want, if any at all? How would you like to pay for it? All that stuff. And so there's a link in the chat box. Mike, do you see it? And then we'll keep asking. I'm here for as long as you want me. I'm not in any hurry at all. But what other kind of questions do y'all have about solar or the next steps in the process, or anything I could do to be of service? I really appreciate Alexandria's feedback. Lucille, do you know what the minimum amount down is to go solar?
No, I don't.
Is $0.
And monthly payments?
Is $139 instead of $183.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound too good to be true?
Yep.
Well, what kind of questions do you have? Because it's true. If you were talking to me like a friend, if your friend said, "Hey, Lucille," and you were like, "Come on," like, what would you ask them after that? What would you want to know?
What's the catch?
There's really no catch. I've done it. I really thought there was going to be a catch, and there's really no catch.
That's the normal response. What's the catch?
You know how do you see that chat box on your computer?
Mm-hmm.
If you click that and pick a time, the catch will be that you wish you'd done it sooner.
Oh, okay.
But most people don't click that box because they're afraid there's some catch they're going to find out about, even from an organization that showed up and gave $50 to something they cared about just because they showed up. And it's kind of wild. Now, this is your situation. I guess the catch is that it would be $188 a month before you got your $8,000 tax credit. Do you understand how your tax credit works?
What's the 183.60?
That's how much you told us you spend every month on electricity. Is
I did?
You said you spent $216
a month.
a month. And the part of your electricity bill that you can get rid of by making it yourself. Lucille, have you ever had chickens?
No.
Well, if you did have chickens,
Only buy them and eat them.
if you had them and they made eggs, all the eggs you needed, how many eggs would you have to buy from the grocery store?
None.
So if you could, exactly right. So if you could make all your own electricity, you don't have to buy any, but your chickens don't lay quite enough eggs. You don't have quite enough roof space. And we can talk about that when we get together. That's what we see, is like where we put them and why we put them and how we know this number is right. Like what software we use. So you don't think it's voodoo magic. It's all science. And 85% of $216 a month is $183. So instead of paying $183, your payment would be under $140 after the federal government gives you 26% if you put it towards a loan. But you don't have to put it towards a loan. You might just choose to keep paying $188 and take $8,000 and do whatever you want to with it. Invest it, give it to a good community organization. That's your money. But it's money where the government says, we think it's a good thing for you to do this to help our country be more energy secure, to be less carbon dependent. And that's what the tax credit is for. 26% of the entire cost of your solar gets given, you get to keep in taxes next year. What other kind of questions do you have, Ms. Jurger? Thank you for being here.
Tax credit, is that paid to you immediately when you submit something to the government saying, hey, look, I just put in solar, here was my bill? Do they just give it to you right then and there? Or do you have to file for it with your taxes on April 15th and then you see that credit come back to you at that point?
That's correct.
April. Okay.
The second one, when you file your taxes, it's just one line on your 1040. And then if you're a W-2, you just get a bigger refund. So if Lucille, are you W-2 or a 1099 or what kind of, how do you file your taxes?
I'm self-employed.
So at the end of the year, we're going to have to write the government a check for $10,000. Now you just write them a check for $2,000. And if you're a W-2, if you're going to get $10,000 back, Mike, now they give you $18,000 back, or they would, Lucille. They would give you $22,000 back because your system's a little bit bigger than hers.
The other question I've got is around the loan. So I think you said it was like, I don't know, 4%, some change for that loan. So if let's say rates change in a year or two down the road, is this set at that rate, or is this going to fluctuate with the market?
This is a 21-year loan, and there are several loans available. Some of them are fixed rates. These are fixed. 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, 12-year, 15-year. The 21-year changes after 7 years to reflect whatever the prime rate is, but it's capped out. It's not, there's a cap to it, and you can see what the max is before you sign your loan. And we chose that one because there's no early repayment penalty. And after a couple of years, if people have resources, they usually just end up paying their solar panels off because they're like, why am I making a payment for something I can own, right? And so a lot of people want to do it. It's also one free reamortization if you apply your tax credit, so there's no fee.
Yeah, I was thinking I'd probably consider using home equity line to cover this because I can get a better rate with that than I can here.
that is the smartest thing to do. Another really good reason to do it is that if you do move, you'll know exactly how much you need to recoup from your solar because it'll be a part of your mortgage. But if you did like a HELOC or something and you pay 2.5%, Mike, then what you're looking at with a 30-year mortgage is decreasing your electricity bill from $250 to $140. That's how much of a difference the financing makes. And that's completely up to you. We can do whatever's best for you. We don't make any money from the financing choice that you use, but you could have $110 a month to invest, and it comes from your former electricity bill. You could have $110 a month to go out to the movies if the movies ever open back up and when it's safe again. So that is, do you have any questions about that? Thank y'all for being so open. This has been really fun. I feel like it's a conversation. I apologize if I bored anybody, but Lucille, have you clicked that thing yet? Or are you still thinking it's too good to be true and I need to answer some more questions for you?
Well, no, I didn't click it. Like I said, right now I got some things I got to do first, but it's interesting.
Yeah. You got some things you need to do? Do you mean like there's money that you need to spend that you won't be able to afford solar with? Would you mind helping me understand what you mean by that?
No. Well, right now, I need a roof first before I solar.
You told me that. Did you know that if you get a roof, it can be included in your solar loan, and then your roof qualifies for the tax credit too, the part that's under solar?
Oh Lordy.
Oh Lordy. So you get a 26% discount on your roof, and we'll be glad to help you find your roofer. It could all be in one loan, and then you get a tax credit on your roof too. That's why we do these things, because it's like, okay, like what else are you wondering about? Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sorry for forgetting because you told me at the beginning.
Lucille, we did that. We wrapped in a new roof in with our solar and decided to just do it at the exact same time. So I think the entire thing, and this was not through Ovanova, it was through this other company, but the entire thing took a week with the roof and the solar. And that was partially because the roofers, took their time. The solar took less time. But it's been fantastic because we just have one bill. And it's lower than my car payment. It's lower than anything else. And it's kicking the butt out of my former bill because we just have a much lower solar bill than we ever had an electric bill.
Lester, any idea how long typical asphalt shingles last on a roof? Because my house is 13 years old right now.
Does anybody have a better answer to that question I do?
They cap out usually at about 20 years is when you need to start looking at repairing them generally, from what I've heard. We decided to go with a tin roof, which is longer lasting, and the solar has been great on there. Tin roofs do mess with your cell service inside your house. Wi-Fi kind of helps with that, but that's the only downside that we have found at all. They're fantastic, super durable, and they last. Some people say 100 years, some people say 70 years. It's definitely better.
My parents are getting a tin roof put on tomorrow. So Lucille, is a 26% roof discount enough to have you click that link, or do we have some more questions we need to ask first?
Well, I don't have any questions right now.
Well, what would you think about getting back in touch with us so we could talk about your personal situation? And if it's not something you want to do, that's completely fine.
Okay.
We'd love to see you again. And we know that no time's a good time. So right now is the best time. And, like when you're talking it's kind of scary to talk to people about going to church, like we were talking about at the beginning. And it's scary to ask people to keep learning. But right now, the human team actually needs you to make a good choice. And you don't have to believe me yet, but if you give us some more chances and you still don't want to do it, that's okay. But don't not do it just because, there's not a time for us to get back together is my request. Mike, did you already sign up for time to get back on there, or are you going to do that now?
I'll tell you, I am going to, no doubt. I need to check with my wife and see when she's available, so the two of us can both sit down with you and have a conversation. But I am interested in what you said, and the fact that you could actually tie in the cost of roof repairs too was something new to me. So that's good to know. You said 25% of that is credited from the federal government. That's good.
26% of the portion of your roof you use for solar.
Gotcha.
So
of that portion. Okay.
What's that?
I was saying of that portion. That makes a little more sense. So it's not like it would replace the entire roof or cover 25% of the entire roof. It would just be that section that was sitting underneath the panel.
That's correct.
That makes sense. Okay.
It depends on your accountant, but that's what we interpret the meaning of the tax code to be. I'm sure there are some unscrupulous people who would claim the entire thing, but we wouldn't encourage you to do that. But let's look at why it makes sense. Like, even if you put your panels on and you end up having to get them taken off to put the roof back on, it's not that big of a deal. The panels go on. You saw that video. They went up in a day. Like, the panels are easy to pop on and off. And if you waited 7 years to do it, 250 times 12 times 7, you would have spent $21,000 in electricity that you could never get back. And you won't be one day closer to paying off your electricity bill. So the most expensive part about solar is waiting to do it. It's not doing it. Doing it will save you money, which sounds too good to be true. But this isn't like some weird, I know you, Mike, we'll get back together. So you've got my cell phone number. You know how to be in touch with me. If not, I'm going to bug you because you're my friend. And just like Lucille keeps bothering her friends to go to church. Because she knows
the last
They don't listen.
they just don't want the light, do they, Lucille?
No.
What are you saying, Luke or Mike?
So I know you guys have been doing this for a while and all, but I guess my fear is, we talk about all this, the numbers look great, and then we do the installation and I'm still getting a bill. And it turns out, we thought these number panels were going to do the trick. Your orientation isn't quite as good as we thought. I mean, is there any way that you could do like some kind of a survey on the roof with equipment to test it out and make sure that it's going to produce what you anticipate? Because I need to go through all the effort and then not get the expected result.
Man, isn't it a shame that we've been let down in life so many times that we worry about stuff like that? But it's valid. And so what I'm showing you on the screen is an example of a house that does exactly that. It's software, man. This is 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning in January, February, March, April, May, June, September. And it knows the sun's path. It also looks at the shading. And it's like, okay, there's about 1% shading because in September, this tree barely tickles this panel. And it knows the latitude and longitude and how many hours of sunlight a day you get. And it varies from year to year by a little bit, but you're still connected to Duke. And you have somebody on here, Alexandria. So do you want to speak one more time to the veracity of these claims, Alexandria?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, you can come over to my house if you want. You can see the quote that we got that's very similar to this. It's not quite as amazing, but the predicted solar panel energy production has been spot on. It's actually been better than what they predicted. We had a tree taken out in our case because we had some serious shading issues and we wanted to get closer to, we're not at 100% because we have some shading issues, but we knew that going in. It's still an amazing savings across the board. And I'm sure that this is a thing when you get Ovanova solar, but like my husband has an app on his phone and you just go in and you see how many hertz is it kilohertz you're producing? So you can see what your production is every single point of the day. So you can self-monitor. And I know John well enough to know that if it's not working, he'll come out to your house and figure out why.
Yeah. This is actually John's app. And you can see it right here. It's showing you at any given moment of the day batteries are completely charged because he has a battery system. He's putting 6,900 watts back on the grid, and his house is using 575. So then your electricity usage kind of becomes like a video game. You're like, how much money am I making because the sun came up today?
It's actually really fun because you can try to game the system. You can be like, oh, well, we're producing this much. Let's do all the laundry right now.
Yeah, my dad stopped using the microwave because he could see the energy that I was using. So instead of using the microwave now, he just heats stuff up on the stove. But I will say the only negative thing is that my dad's screen time has gone up a ton because he's constantly looking at the amount of energy that he's producing and the amount of energy that he has in his batteries and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So that's how you know. And if it breaks, we fix it quick. Have you ever gotten a notification from Facebook when somebody tagged you in a photo?
Yes.
You get a notification from your app if one of your solar panels is messed up and not doing what it's supposed to do. It's that quick. You get what you pay for. The 25-year warranty. That's why I got into this, Mike, because it doesn't sound just too good to be true. Like you're kind of like, what have I not told you? It's wild. It's just God's sunlight every single day shining down for free, and we just get to catch it if we want to.
You know, I always try to poke holes in every argument, so just the way I am. I'm a skeptic.
I love it.
But it does sound really good, and I mean, I like what I'm hearing.
What else do you want to know? These are good questions. You've asked very good questions. Or Lucille, what else do y'all want to know? I'm here. This might be the last one of these we ever do.
I don't have any questions right now.
Well, you could have gone a long time ago. You raised those funds as soon as you showed up. But it's sure been fun to have you. Have you clicked that link yet, or are you still?
No, I didn't click it. I got your email and all that kind of stuff. I know how to get back with you.
Well, if you'd like for us to help you, we'd be glad to, Lucille. And I appreciate you listening so well. Thank you for showing up.
It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, man. Thanks for making us laugh too.
All right.
So Lester, what's the brand of the solar panels that you're using? I imagine this app is part of their brand.
Well, the app is actually part of a inverter. It's from the inverter. Okay. So the inverter is what turns the DC power the panels make into the AC energy that your home uses. And so that's what measures how much electricity is going through it. The brand of the panels or whatever you want. We like to use math to figure out what the best panels are. So we look at how much electricity is this guaranteed to be produced over the contract of the warranty. Okay. And then how much does it cost? And so, but you can get, but they're all, we do only use all black, or there's these one panels that have like one white stripe, but it looks kind of cool. You know, panels that look like this. Yep. So they're nice. Okay. They're not these ugly things you're used to hearing. And all the stuff that you're imagining that you'll have to do, we'll do it for you. There's about 30 minutes more stuff, just like I want panels here or there, or whatever we get to do when we get back together. So what else are you wondering about? Thank you. This is really good. Thanks for being on YouTube with us tonight.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it all does sound really good. So I think, yeah, we would have to figure out, you know, based on the panels that you have shown me from that picture, which ones actually make sense to put there, and which ones we wouldn't be able to based on, you know, the requirements in my neighborhood.
Can you let me share
the aesthetics of it all, you know? So I would imagine I probably wouldn't be able to get the full, you know, 100% of my bill covered, because I'm going to say, let's, you know, remove these 5. Yeah. Okay.
So Mike, which one's exactly, is it this roof right here?
Yeah, so I didn't even notice that. This is good to see this angle here. You can kind of see the shade that's going on. I was more concerned that back roof right there, the big one that's got all the panels on it. I was concerned that those were only going to be able to get so much energy throughout the day, because by probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is starting to set over the front of the home. And it, you know, a lot of you know, a lot of the sun's rays are not going to be effective for us at that point. I think in my case, it kind of sets like straight off to the left. If you were to look in the like left center of this picture here, that's the direction the sun is setting.
Yep.
So
yeah, and you're absolutely right. There's a pretty good amount of shade. I mean, it's not too significant though. Using this data, it's like 25 years of weather data. It's only showing 84% of shading, or 88. It's 84% annual sun access, so like 16% shading.
But Mike, you scroll up just a little bit. So, oh no, go back to that chart, the sun chart. I want to show Mike. So you see how we're clicked on that back panels? Like, see how it's red in the morning? That's because of the shade coming from those trees as the sun is coming up, but the sun is coming up and it's making a little bit of energy. And you see how it sort of is making 100% and it's going great. And then all of a sudden around 4 o'clock, it just dies off. I don't know where that thing went. And then like, see that the 16 at the top? Well, Luke is.
I know, I pressed the button.
That's when the sun goes over to the other side of the house to the point that creates the thing that you're concerned about.
Yeah. And I think when that happens too, you've got that back roof over there that's closest to the little pool, the little roof. That is no longer going to be accessible to the sun either, because that's lowered down below the main roof. So,
right. But for half the day it is, and that's what that chart shows. Like that green and red thing we were going over, is it shows exact. It's not a guess. This is government data from National Renewable Energy Laboratory, based on weather data, direction of the angle, pitch of the roof, latitude and longitude, how much sun you get and when. Trees. Right. It's pretty rad.
Okay. Got it.
But Luke, go ahead. You were asking a question. I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just wondering which side of the house you were more concerned about shade on.
Really the back side, because I know that's the main roof I'd want to use, because I didn't want to put it on the front of my house where it's, you know, really visible for everyone to see. Because for me, I know, yeah, they're not that bad anymore. They're all black. They're hardly visible, but for me, it's not very aesthetically appealing. And I don't know how my neighborhood would feel about me putting them on the front of the house where everybody can see it when they're driving up and down the street. So I think I would be curious to see, you know, what would be the benefit to us if we were to completely remove the ones that are visible from the front of the home and just leave the ones that are on the back side of the house. Oh, see, I didn't even see the ones that were right there.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So you're saying you want to see what happens if you just use this roof plane right here?
Yeah, just the back. You could use both roofs in the back if it made sense.
We're going to do this and we're going to label this another one because it's making me label it. There we go.
Hey, Mike, if you're worried about your HOA and your neighbors, I don't know if it helps, but we're not in an HOA, but we are on 5th Street in Mebane. And Mebane's very conservative. And for the most part, people seem to think it's really cool. They actually stop and ask us about it. And since it's a federally funded initiative, I would find it very hard to believe that your HOA would be allowed to prohibit it. Yeah. That's me, but it doesn't seem like that's something that they could really have a say about, and frankly, they should be for it.
Yeah, there's a United States Supreme Court case that says that the HOA can't prohibit you from going solar, but sometimes they can make you use a certain colored panel. Sometimes they can make you ask your neighbors permission if they have to look at it, you know. But on the back of your home, they're like, Mike's right. There's no problem putting something on the back of your home. This would be if we're talking about easy, this would be the easiest. But Alexandria is also right. They can't stop you. The exception is if a neighborhood is not fully developed yet, they can stop you.
Okay.
So this isn't correct, but it's just the application taking forever in my computer, not wanting to handle Zoom and this at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay if we have to, you know, get back and look at it again. I don't mind. You know, I want to invest the time into it and figure out whether it's a fit. So. but I'm
Your
just
house,
not
Mike.
crazy about the look. I mean, I know maybe whether it's an HOA thing or not, I'm not crazy about the look myself, and I don't want to have to look at my house from the front of it and see that. The other thing I should mention is my wife has been talking about adding an addition in the back, and I wish I could draw on this screen for you so you'd be able to tell, but it's pretty much directly in front of that fence, where the driveway is right there, directly in front of the fence. It's going to come out about 12 feet from the house, and it will be 17 feet wide. So we're planning on building that up. It's going to be a 2-story addition, and that is the probably the one thing that would stop me from moving forward right away with this, is because I wouldn't be able to complete the job. I'd only be able to do part of it with you guys, and then I'd have to wait another probably year before I've got that addition completed, because that addition would give us more roof space in the backside. That, I guess it would be 12 feet coming out, and then whatever the rest of the roof space would be coming down from the peak down to the eave. I don't know what the full, the square footage would be of that, but we'd probably be able to fit, 4 more panels right there, I would think.
All on that back roof. So
Yeah, and that back little roof of the addition, right? So, but that's what would stall out this project for me, is because I want to get that knocked out. Like, we really need a mudroom and a spare office, and on the second floor it would be another master bathroom, because we've been having family coming through here a lot lately, and every time it's a madhouse because I only have 2.5 bathrooms, and it's just tough. So
you have extra. So if you go solar, you'll have an extra $100 a month to put towards that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
And
But we'd have to go through this process twice. I'd have to get you guys back out, get the whole crew assembled again, and I know there's gonna be more of a charge to it that way because of all the make-ready fees that are probably involved, and getting a new meter and whatnot. So
you're imagining stuff, bro. It's easier than that. It's all easy. We're gonna do whatever's right for you, and I hope that you've known me long enough to know that's the truth. You were one of the first people to ever test out what we're doing. And we'll listen. Let's just get back together, because it's been like an hour, and who the heck can actually pay attention on Zoom for an hour? And then you get your mud room up, you get whatever we do, whatever, whenever, however makes sense. But I want to live in a world that makes sense, Mike. And one thing that does not make sense is setting pieces of our planet on fire to make steam when the sun is coming up. But that's something we get to do together. If it's a little bit of like, I don't like the way it looks, that's just because it's you. You'll be the coolest dude in the neighborhood. Before you know it, everybody will do it. We need leaders here. That's why I'm calling my friends and family, is like, let's find some people who are really willing to make a difference. Because if it's this hard for my good friends to hear, imagine how hard it is for the rest of the world just hearing it from a salesperson.
yeah, true.
And thank you for playing such a fun game. What else are you wondering about, or what else can we do, or can we go ahead and get our rendezvous on the things to give you enough time to look into whatever you need to look into? A couple weeks from now, get back together, work for you?
Yeah, dude, I will definitely get back with you. Don't worry about that. I can't schedule something right now because I don't know what my wife's schedule is like. My wife works from home just like I do, and it's something where I got to get it on her calendar, and we both have to agree to it and make sure it's going to work for both of us. So we'll do that though, for sure. I'll keep you posted. I grabbed that link that you shared in the chat, and I sent an email to myself with that link so I can get back to it and I can get that scheduled. Also, I got your email, so I can always ping you and hey, let's schedule time. So we'll get it on the calendar in the next couple of weeks for sure.
So what do you think, man? Do you think it's a pretty cool idea to just give money to folks to give them a chance to learn about solar energy? Or do you think that just the skepticism of people being hurt too much makes it a stupid failed path?
It kind of, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a cheesy hook though, and just in my personal opinion, a cheesy hook to get people to listen to a sales pitch. But if it works, if you're generating volume from it, then, yeah, why not? I mean, obviously, it's hard to get your name out there otherwise, and people are looking for some type of, a freebie, a gimme these days to participate. So I get it. It's just like somebody sends you a survey. Like these days, people send me a survey and they're like, hey, complete the survey, I'll give you $25. I'm like, do I even want to spend the 15 minutes it's going to take, or the half hour it's going to take to complete this damn survey? And I usually delete the email. So yeah, there does have to be somewhat of a hook. But if at the same time, it can kind of devalue the product if it just sounds like it's some kind of a cheesy hook. So I don't know.
So how do we make it less cheesy?
How do we be less cheesy? That's a good question. My wife, she does the marketing stuff. Like she actually works for a company called Qualtrics, and she hates that I can't stand surveys because that's what her company does. And they do like the analytics behind the surveys and everything. She would probably be better to talk to about advice. There
have been 500 people this spring who have showed up to these.
That's awesome. Well, then it's working. Yeah. I mean, I think through churches, it makes a ton of sense. And through schools, I would just be skeptical to push you guys out in front of someone until I had the experience of buying through you and going through the entire process. From what you showed me tonight, though, I mean, you guys are doing the research that, would have taken me forever to try to figure out. That map, the way you showed the sun, the way it lies at all given times of the day. I mean, that's huge. That makes me feel so much more comfortable when I see stuff like that. Because I like to overanalyze everything.
That's really good feedback. That's something that we've left out that maybe we could just show people this is where your numbers come from. Check out the sun path. Do you think that would be
huge? Yeah, I think that was really huge because there's plenty of people that are I'm very analytical, and I think you're going to get a mix of both people. Some people are going to be like, oh yeah, do the green thing, take care of the planet. I'm going to do it for that. And then there's people like me. It's like, is this legitimately going to work for my situation? I'm happy to help take care of the planet, but at the same time, it's got to work for my house. Otherwise, it's a wasted investment.
Yeah. It turns out that it works so well that it'll save you, a few tens of thousands of dollars if you just bought it, and it would save you $25 a month.
Yeah.
If you just did it with nothing down. But I'm getting ready to talk to a guy in Texas, another friend of ours, getting some roof measurements. He finally decided that he's doing it. Everybody has their own timeline. But this is one of those things where if you're being my friend, the longer you wait, the more you're going to get mad at me for not bothering you more. So don't not do it because of what you don't learn, but then we'll do it whenever it makes sense and however it makes sense for you, and you can count on me for that.
Yeah. Let's talk again soon, and we'll talk about the whole situation where I'm building out that other section of my home eventually. I mean, I've already hired an architect. We're at preliminary stages. So I mean, we're literally talking, at least a year before that's done. And, I need your professional advice on whether it makes sense to do this as two separate projects or if I should wait until I've got that addition completed. So
you can count on me to look at the numbers with you, look at the designs with you, and help you figure out what makes sense. And make it based on math and preference, but 100%. And if it doesn't make sense, I told somebody the other day it didn't make sense to go solar because she lived in Miami. She'd been a teacher forever. She was moving to New Orleans. And when she sold her house at the end of that school year, they were going to tear it down and build a big mansion there. And so if she'd gone solar, it wouldn't have made sense in that case. But that's one of the few scenarios I've seen where it doesn't make sense. Even Alexandria lives in a place where it's super shaded. And that's why she still has a little bit of an electricity bill. But is there anything else that you want to talk about right now while you have me?
No. She's probably going to kill me if I spend any more time on this call. So she was the one calling me earlier when I had to jump for a second. But yeah.
Well, thanks for showing up to learn. I'm grateful for it, and I'm looking forward to getting back in touch with you. It's good to be in touch with an old friend. Alexandra, do you have anything else you want to say? These are all on YouTube. Do you have anything you want to say to anybody that's watching in a few years trying to figure out what happened?
Go solar. I hope you did it. If you're watching it years from now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys spending time with me too and educating me on this. This was good. So we'll talk real soon. All right.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure. See you soon, brother.
All right, guys. Take care.
So,
Dude, I have such a hard time, and I'll say this on YouTube as well. I have such a hard time when people are saying that things are too good to be true. Because if you look over I texted this to you as well, but if you look over the past 6 years, the things that have come out to be true 6 years ago, you would have been called crazy if you said they were going to happen. Like Donald Trump, aliens are real, COVID, like, you know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind that people are like, to this day, people still say too good to be true.
yeah. Well, I've got 2 more minutes before I talk to my friend. Do y'all have anything that you want to talk about?
I'm good. I'm going to have to scoot for tonight because I got to get up early for a meeting.
This is a lot longer than they normally are just because it was kind of strange. It was a weird crowd. But it was a really good crowd because it had you in it and a friend in it. And then some other people we got to support. So thank you for showing up and sharing and standing for the sun and standing for the environment and asking for us to put that up front. If you have anything else you want to share, or you just want to take these over, I'm sure you could do it a lot better than I could. But
I think you did a great job. It was really cool to hear, and I can't wait to be in touch again soon.
all right, see you soon, Alexandria. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Cool. Lester, I'm going to run them on Monday.